And up next, man, we got another incredible matchup. Della Madalena versus Randy Brown. And I see some people are really shitting on this card hard. And I could see where they're coming from a name value perspective. I can agree with that. But I think there's quite a few matchups that are going to be fire fights, man, even though they might be from fighters that you don't really know. But this is another one, even though I think this is one where people are really looking forward to it. Della versus Randy Brown. Randy Brown's a fighter that you got to give him credit because he's been in the UFC for a long time, steadily improved. He's gotten into the top 15. He's fallen out of the top 15. And right now I think he's kind of very close, right on the outside looking in. He's on a win streak right now, coming off a win over always dangerous, always crafty veteran Francisco Trinaldo. And Della Madalena, he's surging up the rankings. He has won 3 fights in a row. He's knocked all his opponents out. He's looked extremely impressive. And he called for this shot. He wanted to fight in Australia. He was born in Perth, so you know the crowd's going to be behind him 100%. Not only is he in his home country, he's in where he's from, right in his backyard. And the one thing about it with this fight that everyone has to deal with Randy Brown and why it's a tricky matchup is that length, man. Randy Brown is extremely long, extremely rangy, very tall fighter, and that's what Della is going to have to navigate here. But so far in his career in the UFC, he's been nothing but dynamite, and Randy Brown's going to have to kind of try to diffuse that. But Randy Brown, he is a hard fighter to fight because of the length and because he's just very athletic. He likes to flow in there, great head movement, very evasive guy, and good job sticking you, kind of pot shotting you with jabs, with straight punches, with push kicks, and then making you miss, countering you, taunting you, getting you frustrated, getting you out of your game, and he can just kind of pick at you for the whole fight. He throws some dangerous weapons too. He can bring up some big knees. He will mix in some head kicks, some front kicks to the face, and elbows. He definitely throws some techniques that can knock you out, but most of the time he's a fighter that relies on volume, winning by decision, and his grappling has improved quite a bit. He's a pretty good grappler. He's out there in New York with that Shark Tank that they have, with multiple gyms out there that have elite jiu-jitsu fighters, with elite wrestlers and all that. And he's been right in there training with all them. But his wrestling, to me, is not very good. I mean, I've seen some of his shots, and I feel like he just isn't a very natural wrestler. But in this fight, I think he may try to use the clinch and try to kind of close that space and get Madalena a little bit tired and maybe eventually try to somehow get it to the ground with a body lock, or if he could time a takedown really well. We've seen him do that a couple times in the UFC, but the one thing with Randy Brown is I don't know if he's going to be able to hold Madalena down, which could be potentially an issue. But if I was him, I would definitely try to at least mix it up and make that an option, because I think on the feet, even though he's slick and he has that evasiveness and counter ability, and he could keep it long, he does get touched sometimes. I mean, you've seen him get dropped against Chaos Williams. We saw him get knocked out in a couple fights. Even though the fight against Deco Price where he got knocked out, it wasn't like he got caught on the feet with any wild shot or anything. But we did see Vicente Luque get him out of there. And Della Madalena is a very sharp guy. I don't know if Randy Brown is going to be able to use that hands down, head movement, evasiveness against Madalena, because Madalena is going to go to the body as well. He's going to be timing his shots and using his accuracy, picking his shots really well. And I think that he's going to connect much more than some of Randy Brown's other opponents. And when he connects, he has that power in his hands that could put guys out. And I do question Randy Brown's chin a little bit. He is a super tough fighter, but I don't know if he could take that punishment. One thing that both these guys do have issues with is leg kicks. I've seen Madalena have issues with it. I've seen Randy Brown have issues with it. But neither guy really throws a lot of leg kicks. I think Della should invest in leg kicks in this fight if he can. If he has that in his arsenal, throw some leg kicks. And I've seen his kicking game. It's okay. But mainly when you look at Della, what you really like with him is the boxing, man. The guy could box. He puts together great combinations. His pressure is elite. He throws a lot of volume. He is really diligent with attacking the body. and that's actually how he's gotten a couple of his finishes, or I believe all of his finishes so far in the UFC with body shots. Or I guess not the Pete Rodriguez one, but he's finished a lot of guys with body punches. And he just, if you can get in the pocket with him, man, you're in trouble because he's super, super sharp. He keeps everything real tight. Nice left hook. He is just very, very clean. The one thing is, if you did watch the fight with Angelosa, he did struggle a little bit with the jab. And sometimes if you could pressure Madalena and push him backwards, throw combinations, then you could land on him a little bit. And that's what Randy Brown has to do. If you watch the fight with Randy Brown versus Chaos Williams, he turned that switch on. He was pressuring and trying to stay in Williams' face, backing him up and staying long, throwing combinations. And I think that's what he has to do against Madalena. He has to put himself in that fire to potentially get the victory. And if he can make it a super dog fight and be the guy on the front foot, backing Madalena up with the jab, using that length and throwing combos, long combinations, then maybe he has a chance to get the upset here. But if he lets Madalena get on that front foot pressure, back him up against the cage and throw combinations himself on Randy Brown, he's going to be in trouble. And I think that Randy Brown is just not going to do what he has to do early. I think Madalena is going to get started faster, and I feel like it's going to be an uphill battle for Brown. I think he's going to struggle to push Madalena backwards, and I think that Madalena is going to throw some leg kicks in this one. I feel like his body punching, like always, is going to play a big factor. I think he's going to kind of chop down that tree that Randy Brown is, the big tall guy that he is, and eventually get him against a cage, put a combination on him, and put him away like he has a lot of his other opponents. So I'm going to go with Jack Della Madalena via first or second round KO TKO, and I think he's going to get him out of there with punches.